Eli Grant had seen his share of derelict ships floating in the outer rings, but nothing quite like this. The distress beacon had been weak, almost apologetic in its pulse, leading him to a Krillian cargo hauler that looked like it had been through a small war. Scorch marks decorated its hull, and half the life support systems were flickering on emergency power. Just another salvage run, he muttered to himself, magnetic boots clanking against the airlock as he forced it open. The smell hit him first: ozone, decay, and something else. Something organic and wrong. The ship's corridor was dark except for the emergency strips along the floor, casting everything in an eerie red glow. Eli's scanner showed faint life signs deeper in the cargo hold, which was unusual. Most derelicts were tombs by the time someone like him found them. He moved cautiously, his multi-tool ready, though he doubted it would do much good if something hostile lurked in the shadows. The cargo hold doors were ajar, bent outward as if something had tried to escape from within. Eli squeezed through the gap and immediately froze. Chains, massive chains, each link as thick as his arm, stretched across the hold and disappeared into the darkness. They rattled softly with movement, and then he saw her. Sarathra was magnificent even in her degradation. Her scales, once surely brilliant with iridescent color, were now dull and scratched. She was easily 20 feet long, with wings that were folded tight against her serpentine body. Wings that would have been majestic if they weren't torn and matted with dried blood. Her head, crowned with elegant horns, lifted weakly as Eli approached. Golden eyes, dimmed by pain and exhaustion, fixed on him with a mixture of wariness and desperate hope. Beneath her, curled against her chest, was a hatchling no bigger than a large dog. Its breathing was shallow, labored. Holy, Eli breathed, his mind racing. Dragons weren't just rare. They were supposed to be myths, stories told by drunk spacers in cantina corners. But here one was, chained like cargo, abandoned like trash. The chains were connected to a control panel on the wall, and judging by the blinking red indicators, they were electrified. Whoever had owned this ship had wanted to make sure their cargo didn't escape. Eli's jaw tightened. Sarathra made a sound, low, rumbling, somewhere between a growl and a whimper. She shifted, trying to shield her hatchling from view, and Eli saw the cruel metal collar around her neck, embedded with shock nodes. The hatchling had a smaller version, its young scales already scarred from repeated activation. "Hey," Eli said softly, raising his hands. "I'm not here to hurt you." The dragon's eyes narrowed, intelligent and suspicious. She had no reason to trust any bipedal creature, not after whatever hell she'd endured here. Eli approached the control panel slowly, studying it. Krillian tech, brutal but straightforward. The slavers had probably planned to sell them on some black market world before something went wrong. Pirates maybe, or a mutiny. Whatever happened, they'd left in a hurry, abandoning their ship and its living cargo to die slowly in the void. "I'm going to get these off you," Eli said, not sure if she understood basic but needing to fill the silence. "But you have to trust me. If I shut down the wrong system first, those collars might activate." Sarathra watched him work, her breath coming in shallow gasps. The hatchling whimpered, a sound that cut straight through Eli's heart. The little one's wing was bent at an unnatural angle, and its scales had lost their luster. Eli's fingers flew over the console, bypassing safeties and rerouting power. His old instructor at the engineering guild would have been proud, or horrified at how many regulations he was breaking. The chains went slack first, clattering to the deck. Sarathra flinched but didn't move, still protecting her young. The collars were trickier. One wrong command and they'd deliver enough voltage to kill. Sweat beaded on Eli's forehead as he worked, muttering calculations under his breath. Finally, with a soft click, both collars disengaged and fell away. Sarathra's eyes widened in disbelief. She touched her neck with one clawed hand, feeling the absence of the metal that had bound her. Then she looked at Eli, really looked at him, and something shifted in her gaze. "You're free," Eli said, stepping back to give her space. "But your kid needs medical attention. I've got a ship nearby with a med bay. It's not designed for your species, but I can adapt it, if you'll let me." For a long moment, Sarathra didn't move. Then slowly, deliberately, she lowered her head. Not in submission, but in acknowledgement. In gratitude. 2 hours later, Eli's small repair ship hummed with new passengers. He'd managed to coax Sarathra aboard, though it had taken all his patience and half his emergency rations. The hatchling was in the med bay, sedated while Eli's automated systems worked to set its wing and treat its injuries. Sarathra watched over it like a statue, her eyes never leaving her child. Eli brought her water and synthesized protein. Not ideal, but better than nothing. She accepted it with a grace that reminded him she was more than just an animal. She was a person, intelligent and aware, who had survived horrors he could only imagine. "I'll find you a safe place," Eli promised, leaning against the doorway. "There are colonies in the fringe that don't ask questions. You and your kid can disappear, live free." Sarathra turned her head toward him, and in her golden eyes he saw understanding. She made a sound, low and musical, that somehow conveyed more than words ever could. "Thank you. I will remember." As Eli set course away from the derelict, he glanced back at his passengers. A human mechanic with grease under his nails and a dragon mother with fire in her heart. Unlikely allies in an uncaring galaxy. But that was humanity for you. They found the broken, the chained, the forgotten, and they refused to walk away even when it would have been easier. Even when it made no sense. Because sometimes doing the right thing was the only thing that made sense at all.